Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G and Juliette, where we bring to you highlights of
entrepreneurs, leaders, organizations, and much more.
A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and more.
I feel so blessed today. I don't want to live like yesterday. So please don't stop my phone. Today I'm gonna make it right.
Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk.
Hi everyone. Hope everyone had a beautiful week, day, month, year. Hope everything is going fine with you. Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G and Juliette.
Today's episode, we have a special guest coming for you. Her name is Marie Douglas, and she's a phenomenal artist. I can't wait to show you or showcase all her work for you. Would you believe that she actually has her very own solo exhibition going on for this whole month of June? It's in New Haven, though, Connecticut. And I do believe it's at Poetic Haven. So if you're around that area, please go check her out. She's there all week and till the end of the month. Absolutely amazing.
Her work is beautiful. When Juliette said that she had someone that's creative and she's an artist and, you know, she makes things, this art is so different. Like,
unique.
You know, very, very unique. Okay, here we're going to show you a little clip of Dee. She's on the where did she take this? I think it's on her art site.
It's at the art studio in New Haven in Connecticut. Yeah, the name of the is Poetic Haven is the name that you actually can go and see her work. But we also we're gonna talk to her. Why not?
Yeah, we're gonna talk to her. So we're gonna first show you a clip of her showing her pieces and so forth, and where we actually have a pre-recorded tape of us interviewing Dee, and it's very enlightening. Stay tuned.
Is now in session.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How was your week?
My week is okay. My week has been going all right. I'm just thinking about the weekend. That's all I do every week for the month of June. I've just been thinking about the weekend and all the things that I have to do and the things that I need to say to people and how to be approachable and friendly and charismatic. That's what I do throughout the week. It's planned.
That's good. So most of your work you do on the weekends pertaining to your art?
I do it every day. If I can touch the paintbrush at least once a day, then I call it a success for myself. I tend to work mostly during the week because I like to have the weekend off. And if something is time crunching where I'm working on a commission or something of the sort, then I will work on the weekend as well. But I try to work during the week.
All right. Well, Marie, yes. I know that you've been given this brilliant opportunity to showcase your own art in a studio. Yeah. Tell us about that. Like how they approach you, how it all came about.
So it's funny. So about, I think fall of last year, I was looking to do like a paint and sip event just to try different avenues where I can still combine my art with like different ways that I can combine, use my art besides just me painting and selling. I'm like, oh, what's the other ways I can reach out to the public? So I was like, let me do a paint and sip. So I reached out and called and Googled a few venues in the area. And this venue in particular called Poetic Haven was one of the venues that I called. At the time, I don't remember why I didn't go with them, but instead I decided to have the paint and sip at a hotel. I just rented out. I just got a booked presidential suite, and I just like had this big room and just had the paint and sip there. So now fast forward a few months, like 8 months later, she hits me up in April and says, hey, or the owner of the venue says, hey, do you still want to do a paint and sip or anything like that for this year? And I told her, I said, I never thought about it for this year. This year, I wasn't really focusing on that type of venture, but I'll consider it. That's what I told her. And then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? If God has given me this opportunity, I'm just going to go with it and see where it takes me. So I told her that I've always had this idea of doing like an all Black girl art show for Black artists in the New Haven, Connecticut area. And she's like, well, let me see some of your work. So I showed her some of my work and she was like, well, I just want to feature you. And I'm like, oh, that was not my intention. And she said, I said, well, how about we just do a week? And she's like, no, I want you for a month. I was like, what about a weekend? And she was like, no, we're going to do a month. And I was like, okay.
She was insistent.
And that's what happened. I mean, I try to have one business goal a year. And my business goal for this year was to find more opportunities. So my goal last year was to paint more. I wanted to paint at least 3 to 4 pieces a month. And this year I was like, I have all of this inventory. I need to do something with it. So I want to go and apply for different opportunities, whether it's in a gallery or another type of paint and sip event or anything of that nature. So when this opportunity presented itself, I was like, is that you, God? What's going on?
Hey.
So I walked through those doors and here I am.
Oh my God. Amazing story. Oh my God. So tell our viewers, I mean, because I already know, but tell our viewers how you came about the idea of your technique in art, because it's different from anyone else's.
So that technique, I kind of just established on my own. So I went to school, I went to Temple University. I got a bachelor's in studio art, but the teachings there were regular, you know, how to do your shading, how you do your contour, your lines, you know, your basic foundation, but they didn't really teach us how to venture out on our own. They wanted us to find our own voice. And I really didn't know how to go about that. So when I went on a natural hair journey, I started that about 4 or 5 years ago. I noticed that when I was trying to get back into the art game, I was like, I don't see a lot of people making pieces that look like me per se. So maybe if I replicate my life onto canvas, that will actually, you know, get something going. So I started creating pieces with women and their natural hairs. And I'm like, well, what kind of hairstyles do I do? I do braids. I'm going to do women with braids. I'm going to do women with afros, women with ponytails, you know, all the protective hairstyles that you can think of. So with my own personal journey, I was basically able to find my own voice and my own style and my own way of making pieces.
That's great. Nice. What was the deciding factor in you becoming an artist?
That's a good question. The deciding factor would have to be, so a few years ago, Janet Jackson.
My favorite.
Okay.
One of my favorite artists.
Okay. Janet Jackson had this contest to decorate or to create her, I don't know if it was her 20th debut album or 20th studio album or something like that. So they encouraged any and everybody to submit what they want, what her album cover should look like. So I was like, it's Janet Jackson. It's a chance to meet her. Why not? And that after I created the album cover, of course I didn't get chosen, but that process of creating, I realized how much I loved doing that. And that's when I realized I actually had a passion for something because it was so time consuming. This is back when internet was like
at the baby stages. We still had PC computers with a hard back. And so I'm here with the mouse trying to connect pictures together and try to make a collage and still trying to make it look, professional. So after I did all that, I was like, I really spent like 12 hours, not consistently, but just 12 hours just working on this album cover. And I thought to myself, if I can focus so much on this one subject, maybe it's something that I should, delve more into.
What became of that piece?
That's what made me realize.
Very nice. What became of that piece? Like, did you submit it? And
I submitted it and they said, unfortunately, we're going with other candidates. And then I deleted the email and I was like, well, that's fine.
Oh, but you still have the piece, or it's...
No, I don't. I have it's somewhere in the internet, cyber universe. I have no clue where it's going.
Right. You deleted it. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if I deleted it or it just erased because computers change over time.
Yeah.
We don't have floppy disks anymore. So I have no idea what happened to it. Because clue.
Because now in the entertainment industry, because of Instagram and all these other apps that we have, it's so easy to reach out to artists and send them things, or even on Twitter. So it's like having that right now, you don't know how much value it might be, where you could tag her and be like, I made this for you. You find out a lot of times they'll
Why would you tell me that? I've never thought about that. It's too late now.
But now, see?
But that's a good idea.
That's a good idea, yes.
Now you're gonna be digging some old emails and try to see if what I could conjure up.
Exactly. They say you meet a person for a reason, so that's a reason.
True. That's true. But yeah, that was the deciding factor.
We'll make we'll hashtag her on.
Oh yes, please.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Inspiration. There we go.
Yes, absolutely.
What advice, right? A friend actually had asked me this once, and it's stuck in my mind. Would you give your younger self? You're still young, but way younger when you first started. What advice would you give your younger self looking back at your life now?
What advice would I give my younger self? I would tell her to just stay consistent. Just stay consistent and don't be discouraged by the naysayers or by those who decline my offers or by anything that happens in the world. Just continue to be consistent and stay on the path that you're meant to be on.
Well, with experience brings wisdom. I mean, absolutely. Everyone learns that, right? And maybe 10 years down the line or whatever, what you know now, or actually what you know now, you're able, as you said, tell yourself, this is what you should have done,
Right.
So 5-10 years down the line, you never know,
You never know. Yeah, absolutely. But that's definitely something I would have told her. Just stay consistent, girl. You got this.
That's great.
And don't give up.
And don't give up. Yeah. But I'm glad now that I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, even if I didn't have this show for the past two, maybe 3 years, going on 3 years, I've just been consistently working on art. So I'm glad that even though it took me a while, I'm glad that I found this path and that I'm currently staying on this path. So I'm just hoping to continue from here.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you are definitely an inspiration to a lot of
thank
people.
You.
Yeah, because I know that I don't think there is a lot of minorities doing what you're doing, let alone painting, going to school to be an artist. I would have never.
I know.
Doing that. The viewers to know exactly where I know you're in Connecticut. I want to you can just tell them real quick where the studio is, and I know it's for the remainder of this month. Like how they can find you, and if they want to contact you, because we are going to be cutting and going into commercials, and we're going to be showing your art and your little clips that you sent us.
Okay.
So I just want them to know where they can find you for this month, the remainder of this month.
So for the remainder of June, I will be at Poetic Haven at 281 Shelton Avenue in New Haven, Connecticut. I am there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I will be there showcasing my work, telling my story, and, you know, answering any questions that anybody has. And as far as reaching me, they can reach me on Instagram. My handle is at Self.Taught.Styles. And on Facebook, you can just type in D Douglas 4 and my Facebook should pop up.
That's great. I know that we started forward and then going back. So I want to start from the beginning, right?
Okay.
From whichever age you want to start from, like how you got into this, what motivated you, you had anybody to inspire you in what you do and so forth. Like what brought you to this position? So
as I said before, this whole thing started with the whole Janet Jackson CD. And that's when I realized I actually have a passion for something.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that was my senior year of high school. So it was kind of too late for me to be like, oh, here's my portfolio. It was more like, here's this one album cover that I made but didn't get picked on.
Yeah.
So I still knew it was a passion of mine. So when I went to school, I majored in art. And as I said previously, school was great for giving me the foundations of art, but I didn't really find my voice until after I graduated. And once I graduated, I was in retail, then I was in banking, I was everywhere. Then I decided to quit my job and go back to art. And that was just a step on faith that I had to do, because it was a point where I realized I was not happy. And I've noticed from the millennium generation that we're more, if we're not happy about something, we're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Versus working 40 years at a job that doesn't respect you. Is just like, no, I'm going to quit this job and find something that I like to do, that I'm passionate about. I'm going to be an entrepreneur, work for myself. So once I realized that for myself, I decided to go back into art as far as creating pieces that mimics my life. And my inspirations really are drawn from social media, believe it or not. So I see a lot of people who are, the natural hair movement. I think this is like the second time in history that's coming back, everybody's going natural again. Right. Yeah. It was popular back in the 70s and 80s, and I think it's coming back full circle. So on social media, I see everybody embracing that. They're wearing the head wraps, they're wearing dreads. I have friends that have decided to stop relaxing and wear dreads because it's just easier for them, because they have kids, they don't have to maintain their hair all the time. My own mother is natural. I just have these different avenues, or different, factors that inspired me to pursue this even more. And social media was the main contribution to that, because I saw how much people were embracing it. Because it's easy to see your mother doing it or your friends, but to see that it's happening in California or in China or in Ireland, people like, especially Black Americans or just Black people in general, who travel to these different countries and they're not afraid to have their afro out in the middle of Poland. You're just like, wait, what? This is crazy.
You see guys with hair out to here, and then then I think they had a hair show. They had a hair show somewhere in Brooklyn. I think at the park. Which park is that in Brooklyn? Prospect Park, I think.
Maybe.
So they had so they had a whole big hair show. I would say 2 to 3 years ago.
Are you talking about Curl Fest?
I think, Curl Fest.
I went there, yep.
I
went to Curl Fest, So like stuff like that. So going to events like that and seeing that being advertised on social media, that inspires me, because I'm like, okay, it's not just me that's going through this journey. It's not just me that's struggling to figure out what to do with this mop on my head, So when I see other people going through it too, again, like I said, I like to mimic life. So if I'm seeing this beautiful woman laid out in her afro and she's on a beach, I'm like, wow, I wish that was me. I'm going to paint that. So that's kind of what it is. It's just, I'm just basically mimicking what I see on social media.
Yeah. Well, I'm a photographer as well as a voiceover.
Nice.
So when I take a picture, it's basically the same thing. It's like, I think of where I want to be when I see a sunset, and I take a lot of sunsets. I love sunset and bridge for some reason. I'm always taking pictures of bridges. Yeah, always. Yeah. Or or the sunset or the beach or rain, natural things. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I've just realized more and more how influential social media. I try not to say that to people too often, but it really is influential for me as an artist, because I don't watch the news like on television. My news is on social media. So I go to Twitter, I go to Facebook, and that's how I stay current to things that are happening. So when I see these certain things, for example, women with their natural hair, or women who are getting kicked out of school because of what their hair looks like, or they're getting fired and discriminated against because of the hair that grows on their head, stuff like that is what inspires me to paint even more. And the reason why I decided to stick with this niche of painting women with their natural hair is because I wanted to make it seem, I wanted to normalize it. And I quote normalize because it is normal for us, but it's not normal to European standards for society. So I wanted one day, hopefully, I want my pieces to be in hotels or in law firms, you know, instead of seeing just those Marshall TJ Maxx paintings that you see, the regular paintings that you see that you can get for $20. I want to be like, hey, get my pieces as well, because my piece is, you know, I want to inspire other people, because I know our people are in hotels, they are at law firms, they are in these different spaces, but they don't see anything that looks like them. So that's what I'm hoping that I can do with my pieces.
But it's amazing how, as you just mentioned, like people are not, like how we wear our hair natural is not known to them.
Right.
You'd see people who do the cornrows, but they make it natural because it's a different shade or something like that. But for us, it's a taboo, you know?
Right. Exactly. Or like even when you have Bantu knots, you know, when you like you roll them up and have the little small. So even Bantu knots, you know, Rihanna wore it for some red carpet event, and everybody was like, "Wow, look at this newest hair trend." And we're all just like,
"It's been out.
This is how I wear my hair to bed. What are you talking about?"
Exactly.
Just things like that. It just makes me realize even more how far we have to go as far as accepting women and men with natural hair.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to stay on this path, to just continue, because, you know, I'm not a person who protests out in public, but if my pieces can be a form of protest, all the better. It would be like a form of silent protest, I guess I should say.
And it's our natural self, so why not? We need to be
exactly. My brother has this big beard. Just to tell a small story. For my mother's birthday, we went to see her, and my brother, his face took up basically the whole phone, and he had this beard, and my mom goes, "When are you gonna shave your beard?" I was like, "Why does he have to shave it?"
Right.
Because it's nice and healthy. He has his job. He, you know, IT.
It's not a problem.
He's doing well. It's not a problem, and it's nice and healthy. And then I'm like, there are people who are struggling to just have something small. And my son goes, "Yeah, I don't have too much." And then his friend goes, "Yeah, I'm just have a little thing here." And his is so beautiful, you know? She's like, "Okay, well, maybe you could just trim it a little bit." Like,
that's hilarious. No, but yeah, that's exactly the same thing. It's just like, let it be known that this is okay. This is normal. This is the regular standard. It doesn't have to be European standards.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's more of the big bushy beard thing that came from COVID, because they couldn't go to the barbershop and their hair was just going to continue to grow.
And then they stuck with it afterwards.
It's true.
I've seen that all over the place. And I'm like, it seems to be a trend with the men, but someone, you know, pointed out, no, they can't go to the barbershop.
Because of the pandemic.
And it ain't going to look that good.
And then the funny thing is, now that everything is open, they decided to still keep the beard.
Yeah, exactly.
And it looks nice.
It looks nice. Yeah, absolutely. The pandemic has taught a lot of people new tricks, new ways of dealing with life, new ways of dealing with themselves, period, when it comes to like maintaining their image. I think this past year has definitely taught them that.
And that's why Juliette and I decided to do topics like this, because of the pandemic and how creative communication has gotten better with some people. Family unity has gotten a little better, where you want 100%. To actually see your family because you haven't seen them in a while. You know,
so long.
So things like that. Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
So where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Oh, goodness.
That's like an interview question, but it doesn't have to be too formal.
I don't even know where I see myself
like
a year from
2
now.
years from now.
10 years.
Or where would you like to be? Like, where do you, now that you have this business and everything, and because of what you know, where would you like to be in, let's say, next week, 2 months, 3 months? Like,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, but in all honesty, whether it's next week or next year or in 10 years, what I want for myself or where I see myself is just being financially stable. I have to work a regular traditional 9 to 5 to maintain and all that. I was like, I just want to work off my passion and live off of my passion alone.
Yeah.
Right.
So in 10 years, I see myself in a studio somewhere and still living the dream, working on my art and still being able to make ends meet without having to be a waitress or without having to, you know, be an office assistant. And nothing's wrong with those jobs at all. I'm just saying for myself, I just want to live off of my art and my art alone.
Yeah.
You can always fall back on is you can always teach it. You can always teach others because it's unique. You can always teach it. That's
Absolutely.
that. And with that, you can't mess that up. So just in case you do need to fall back on something, teach it.
Right.
It's what you love.
And the thing is, I would still be incorporating art. So that's still a passion and I would still be happy.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Yep.
Do you have any favorite pieces by chance that you've done, you know?
No. The favorite
or you
piece
enjoy doing?
One of my favorite pieces, I don't have anymore. It sold some years ago. But it's basically this woman. It's a profile picture of this woman that I painted, and her hair is all made out of flowers and gemstones. So I like, and that's the things I like to do. I like to incorporate like 3D elements for texture and for, you know, to create a couple like a different dimension to the piece. So in order to interpret Black hair. So, you know, our hair can be flower, just whatever represents beauty. So flower, gemstones, you know, glass, feathers, anything of the sort. So this particular piece, she just has this colorful crown and it's just all flower, colorful colors and gemstones and glitter.
You just gave me an idea for my wall that I have blank. And I was thinking, okay, because I like clocks for the Chinese fans.
Okay.
And that I think would be nice.
Ooh,
that'd be a nice addition.
Maybe we can hire her to come and paint. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. Hello.
I want paint and the live and the art.
Yes, let's do all of it.
Maybe we can definitely have you come back and maybe we do a sip and paint.
Something
like
right?
That
would be nice. That would definitely be nice. I'm definitely open to any and all suggestions. Absolutely. One thing I'm not going to say is no. So I'm definitely open.
You can come up with some craziness. Oh my God. Well, maybe the next time we'll definitely have you here with us.
Okay.
And you know what I think would be funny is to actually see, you know, Nikki draw something really fantastic on the wall.
I can draw.
Uh-oh.
You haven't seen that side of me yet, but I can draw. Wait. That's where my kids get art from, you know.
I'm not bad.
I can do a little something.
There's an artist inside of everybody. I try to tell people this, and they're like, well, I can't draw. I can't. I'm like, you don't understand. First of all, art is subjective. And then second of all, anyone and everyone could be an artist. And I'm not saying that to be cliche. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. I loved art, music, modeling and all that stuff. But when I was younger, my mom had me, well, at school, you know, you do art and stuff like that, right?
Right.
But how I learned to do my art, you know how they'll teach you to do it in boxes? And you do the pieces in boxes and you know,
color the box,
erase the box and all that type of stuff.
It's like a grid.
Yeah, so I use a grid. So I started like that. But I was good with making things. Like I made a calendar. I think she gave me pictures of her daughter. And then I made little hooks so the pencils could go into and stuff like that. So I have
some skills. She has some skills.
She loved it and was her boss.
Look, and that's not going to be funny because that means that your art is going to be good.
Yes,
it is.
She's trying to tell you that it is good, but you don't know that side of her.
So what would you like people to know? Maybe we didn't ask you a certain question, but what would you like people to know about you besides what you've already told us?
That's a good question. In addition to what I've already said, I feel like we pretty much covered everything. You know, I'm doing this. This is a passion of mine. I'm doing it as a silent protest to say, hey, we're here and our hair is beautiful and we're not going anywhere. And I'm going to continue doing it until it gets recognition, because it deserves recognition. And whether the recognition is through me or through somebody that was inspired by me, that's all. That doesn't matter. I just want it to be known and have it out there like, hey, there is nothing wrong with the way that the hair that grows out of our own scalp. That just blows my mind. So one of the things that I wrote up, like at the show, I have like a little history on the things that, you know, Black hair women and men have gone through recently. And, you know, I don't know if you guys heard of the Crown Act that was passed in 2019 in California that made it illegal for women and men to be discriminated against because of their hair.
Yeah.
Okay. So as of May of 2021, there's only 11 states on that list that allow it to be illegal to fire somebody or discriminate against somebody because of the hair on we're not even halfway through the country yet. Wow. And it's still a problem. Connecticut just became one of the states in March of this year. I think New Jersey was last year. So just like things like that makes me even more empowered to continue doing what I'm doing and not stop anytime soon.
That's
thank you.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on our show, and we're definitely going to have you back. And hopefully, you're in the near future, we'll be showcasing another event done by you. That would be so lovely.
Yeah,
I just want, God's got his hands on you, obviously, and you are shining. It's your time, and I'm just so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining our show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And all the best for the future.
Yeah. Okay. But wonderful. Thank you so much.
That was great, guys.
That was super dope. Yeah. All right, so that was the pre-recorded tape of our special artist, and her name is
Demery Douglas, also known as D. Douglas.
And you can find her on Instagram.
You can find her on Instagram at Self.Taught.Styles. And you can also reach out to her at Self.Taught.Styles.com.
You got all that?
It's a mouthful.
If you haven't gotten it, we'll have the information scrolling at the bottom of the page so you can see it. We also have the information on our YouTube page, which is tabletalkshow.nj. How was your week, Juliette?
Oh my God, my week it's phenomenal, because you know what? I got to stay at home, work from home.
That's great. And I was on vacation.
Nice.
So it was a beautiful week. Even though I think Thursday, Friday, it rained, but it didn't stop us from doing anything, Yeah. Some days we had sunshine, then it held up. But I went to DC, so DC was like thunderstorm and lightning. And,
wow.
But we were still able to go to the aquarium, the National Aquarium, which was awesome. We went there and saw the fish, and then they had a 3D movie that we saw. And in the theater, it's like you would feel things poking you. You're looking at the movie with the 3D glasses, and you hear the girl talk, like how we do the voiceover or something like that. So the girl's talking, and she's putting you into this. It's like this trance in a way. It's like you're seated and you're in the ocean, like you're in the boat, and then it looks like you're under the ocean and like you're swimming with her. So they captivate you in a way, and then they send out sensors and what you call these things that we used to blow when we were younger. The bubbles. They had bubbles all over the place. And then, of course, when you look at it in 3D, it looks so nice, you know? And then when you hear the dramatic sound, something will poke you in the back. It was amazing. It was amazing. So we had a great time. It was my mother's birthday. I mean, there's so many Geminis in my family. You know, it's
happy birthday,
amazing. Mom. Yeah, it's amazing. So that was, well, one of the highlights for my weekend.
And guys, when Nikki got back, we went out with a friend of ours. We went to a restaurant. Do you remember what it was called? Bahama Breeze.
Bahama Breeze, yeah.
Well, guys, I have footage of Nicole dancing. She was dead to dance in the middle of the restaurant.
You're not going to see that.
Now, I say you guys hit me up and let me know if you really want to see this. Maybe I'll show you a few clips. I was on the floor. I could not contain myself. I could barely finish my food. We were just dying. We had a ball, by the way, but I would love to show you footage on that. But only if at least, I would say at least 75 people hit me up and say yes. We might show what Nicole did in the middle of the restaurant.
And if you hit her up, this is going to be a challenge. If you hit her up, some of the dances that he was saying, we would like you to send a video and show me what that dance is. Because half of those dances I didn't know. I know the Running Man. I know the Pond the River, Pond the Bank.
And what was the row the boat? What was it?
Row the boat.
Row the boat.
He's like, row the boat. But hear what? And I had to bring out my Trini accent for this one. I did my, so he's like, well, what do you say? 3 seconds of fame or 5 seconds of fame or something like that. I do the thing and our friend will look to say, nah, after that you have to do what? 3 minutes. I was like, no.
It was a bet, guys. He bet Nicole what was in his pocket, that she would stand up and do all the dances that he says. Now, of course, in the very, very beginning, she stood in front of us and she barely moved. So we said, no,
I did this.
Barely moved. So we did it again. We did another bet and we upped the antics because now I added money to the money that was already on the table.
$20.
And we said, okay, no, you're dancing in the middle of it all. So actually, you know what? Who thinks she actually did it? That's a good question. Will she stand in front of a whole, now this restaurant had not only minorities, but there was also white. It was black, white. I think that
it was a mixed crowd. Yeah, it was a mixed crowd that was there.
And we just said in the middle of the restaurant.
I don't know where they came up with this bright idea. I don't know where.
So first of all, who thinks that Nicole actually did it? And then second, if she did it, did she do it correctly? Did she get that money?
And you realize she's calling me Nicole because whenever I do something bad, people tend to say Nicole instead of Nikki. But we had a blast. We really had a blast. It was nice being out and not having to, I don't know, just eat and be with friends because you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
You know? So.
The ambiance was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the food was really good. So if you're out there in Long Island, I don't even know the part of Long Island, but you know what?
Sure.
Seeing how we're giving them a shout out anyway, I'm sure we'll just put the description in the description box.
And
also.
Google is your best friend.
Yes.
Use it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for watching our show.
Thank you.
We had such a blast. We had such a blast with Dee. All the information you're going to see on our YouTube page, just go to tabletalkshow.nj. And you get all the information there, all the links that you need to get, including our Instagram page and iTunes. We're going to be on iTunes very soon, so keep it locked for that. We're very excited. And,
yeah, this is our second show. Oh my God, Nix. That's our second show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
We're just happy. We are just so happy and feel so blessed to have you guys, you know, just joining us and just coming on this walk and this journey with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And make sure when you visit us, click like if you want to see more of our recordings. just subscribe and you'll get that notification.
Yeah, definitely. Please subscribe.
Yes, and email us.
Yeah.
All our information is below, our email address. You hit us up if you think that you have something to offer and you'd like us to interview you at some point in time. You can hit us up on our email.
And before we go, last but not least, don't forget to tell me if you really want to see that clip of what Nikki did in the middle of the restaurant. Whether or not she did something at all. Did she win that money? Please hit us up. Let us know. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Table Talk. Later. We're not going to give away by saying it. We want you to see it in the clip that we're about to present right now.
Hi, my name is Demery, artistically known as D. Douglas. That's how I sign my name on the bottom of my pieces. Behind me, you'll see some of my featured works that I currently have on display at an exhibition I have, a solo exhibition, entitled The Main Event, King's Coils and In Between Those Roots. With that title, I decided to display work that primarily focuses on Black women and their hair, as you see behind me. So over here, we have a featured woman of color who has 3 puffs that are designed using petals or flowers. So oftentimes with my pieces, I use either real hair or flowers or gemstones, glass, feathers, anything you can think of to actually represent what Black hair could look like. And I do that in hopes to normalize, because it is normal. I do that in order to normalize that our hair, and also to let it be known that our hair is beautiful no matter what it looks like. Also, we have these 3 featured pieces entitled Fall, Summer, and Spring. This is fall. Summer. And spring. This piece is called Covered, and the reason why I title it as such is because I want people to know that women are covered in royalty. That's why I use the gold leaf over her eyes to represent being covered, being clothed in royalty, because we are royalty. We are queens. We are descendants of queens. We are goddesses. Over here, we have pieces called the Stitchness Series. And I used eyelashes and cotton balls that I painted black to represent hair. This piece is the piece that you'll see when you walk through the doors. It's called Sister's Keeper. And if you look closely, you'll see that each woman's hand is placed palm to palm with another woman's hand to represent holding each other up, being each other's keeper. And you can see the element of hair being detailed throughout as well. Head wraps, scarves, braids, puffs, etc. Now, not all of my pieces have 3D elements to it, such as these 2 over here. But again, the theme still remains the same. Black hair is beautiful, no matter whose head it's on. And it's unfortunate that as of May of 2021, only 11 states in the United States allow it to be illegal to fire somebody because of what their hair looks like. It was a Crown Act that was passed in 2019 of California that got this whole initiative started. And as such, other states started to follow. We still have a long way to go, but we're on the right path right now. And with this show, I'm hoping to further prove and further show that, once again, our hair is beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G and Juliette, where we bring to you highlights of
entrepreneurs, leaders, organizations, and much more.
a broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and more.
I feel so blessed today. I don't want to live like yesterday. So please don't stop my vibe. Today I'm gonna make it right.
Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk. Table Talk.
If I tell you, say I love you, oh. My money, my body, now your own, oh baby.
Get ready for our first show, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one, Caribbean style,
with this British Jamaican
and a Trini.
Look in the mirror, say yes, I'm the best, 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 best.
We'll cover our historical roots as well,
so keep it locked.
This is Nikki G.
And this is Juliette.
Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Come to my blessings, blessings, yeah. Treasure you bless me, no one could take this away.
Table Talk.
Table Talk.